Boom! What up, my guys? Welcome to another show. Thursday, NBA Talk with Jay. We got our guy Chris B capping on this motherfucker, man. Hopefully he come on there with on Sunday with me and LJ as well, man. But we got our guy Chris in here. He ain't been on in a little while, man. What's up with you, Chris? Everything cool with you? How you been?
Yeah, man, everything good, Jay. Appreciate you having me on as always, man. The one of the originators for the space, and always happy to talk hoops, man. We try and cash some tickets, Jay. Not gonna waste the people time, like you always say. Let's jump right into it, man. Everything been going good with me though. Let's find some winners for the day, Jay.
Let's find some winners, man. Yeah, we ain't here to waste y'all time, man. I know some of the other shows that I'm on, they be like, "Oh, let's recap and all this." Nobody want to hear all that, man. They all about what. Well, no matter what happened yesterday, we all trying to win today. You see what I'm saying? So let's get straight to it in this one, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Orlando in this one. Magic getting 3 points at the house versus the New Orleans Pelicans in this one, Chris. Obviously, I mean both of these teams have been red hot, 8-2 straight up in against the spread. Their last 10 games. Pelicans, I do feel like are like a tier above the Magic because obviously the Magic been beating some. They've been beating some cupcakes here. So you can only play who's in front of you. But I do think the Magic have like a lesser competition. They have like their strength of schedule is like 30th in the NBA. So they have a really good record, one of the best covering teams in the league. But they are going up against another team that can bang with them. The only one caveat I had in this game, Chris, was that the Pelicans do have an NBA TV game versus the Miami Heat tomorrow, and they've lost 5 straight games versus the Heat as well. So I know that's a big game, but they are like you gotta play who's in front of you, and especially if you're trying to get the best seed in the West. So I'd still lean towards Pelicans. It was at 1.5 last night. It's up to 3. I agree with the way that it's moving. What do you think in this game? You think the Pelicans come in here and try to get this game over with quick?
I do, man. We know that the Pelicans first half has been a winner, Jay. The best
Facts.
first half team outside of Boston. They second in the first half in general. I think it, like you said, Orlando. You looked at this game the same way I did, Jay. I don't like the second leg of a back to back tomorrow for the Miami against the Miami Heat for the New Orleans Pelicans in this spot, but it's the cupcake schedule for me, Jay. I think the Pelicans got they put in the league on notice, especially that Western Conference, right? You got all those teams vying down there, fourth
Mm-hmm.
through what, like fifth through eighth, 10th, trying to figure out where they're gonna land, and the Pelicans are like, we ain't gonna be down there at all. You don't gotta worry about us being at the bottom. We're gonna be at the top. And you to get it to go a little bit deeper, Jay. That was the one thing I looked at too. The Pelicans, they faced a much tougher schedule as of late. The Magic have played 2 playoff teams in the month of March. They played the Knicks and the Pacers. Outside of that,
Mm-hmm.
man, they got games in here against the Pistons, the Hornets. They done played the Hornets twice, the Wizards, the Nets, the Raptors. Well, at least the Pelicans have faced the Pacers, the Sixers, the Cavs, and the Clippers. So they've had to, play a little bit more. And when I broke this game down from an X's and O's perspective, Jay, it was like not only has Orlando been the better offensive team, the 8th in points scored per 100 possessions, Orlando 19th. They're also Orlando number 2 in defense. New Orleans right behind them,
Mm-hmm.
number 3 in defense, and they played the
Yeah.
tougher schedule. So that tells me that Orlando's probably a tad bit overvalued in this spot.
Exactly.
The Pelicans also, the one thing Orlando does, Jay, that I think the Pelicans can take advantage of, they turn the ball over a lot. Young team, right? They turn the ball over at the 4th highest rate. And those against poor defenses over the last 2 weeks. So now you got a New Orleans team that's forcing the 11th most turnovers over the past 2 weeks. I think they can do that, Jay. Orlando likes to get downhill, put a lot of pressure on the rim. You got Valanciunas down there. You got Zion. And you got, Larry Nance Jr. I think that they can do a good job of making Orlando shoot from the perimeter. Pelicans also been pushing the pace, Jay. They're getting out on the break, converting at a pretty high rate as far as getting out in transition. I think that's an advantage as well. I played the Pelicans, Jay. I did. It's not a super heavy bet, but I played them last night on the money line when the line was at 1.5. I got them at minus 120 on the money line last night. Woke up this morning and saw that the line was moving in my direction. So I know it's a difficult game. I don't think at all it's going to be a cupcake spot because Orlando's real. But I do think the Pelicans are the better team. And like you said, I think they're just a tier perspective, right? I think it's some tier perspective here. And if Orlando had a big letdown tonight, and I don't think that they will, but if they had a big letdown, it wouldn't surprise me because they've been beating up on the cupcake teams. They played against, last thing I'll say, Jay, they played against Charlotte the other day. Charlotte had 15 points at the end of the first quarter, 32 at halftime. That ain't what this Pelicans team is doing. Pelicans going to come out there and try to score the ball. So yeah, I think it could just be that step up in class that at least get us over the finish line here. So I lean -3, but I took them on the money line last night, -120.
Yeah, and like you say, shit, going up against some good teams, the Pacers and the Knicks, they got smacked up for both of those versus both of those games, man. I remember that game versus the Pacers, they were up 18 quick, well, like in the first quarter, the first half, they were up double digits, and I was like, damn, man, they finna smack the Pacers up before you know it. Pacers make it like a 3-point game or 2-point game going to halftime, and then second half, they just blow the doors open and end up winning the game by almost 20 points. So the Magic are still a great team, but they're like what we're saying is they've been great team versus some of these little smaller teams that's not so good. When they're going up against a team that's better than them, they can hang with them, that plays defense, that has an actual offense. The Magic still kind of show that they're a young team. So they've had a hell of a season. They're balling, but this is the Charlotte Hornets or Detroit Pistons that they're going up against. So I'd heavily lean towards the Pelicans in this one. Like my guy N say in the chat, fly, Pelly, fly in this one, my guy. It's not going to talk you off in this one. Let's go over to the streets of Washington, D.C. in this one. Wizards getting 11 points at the house versus the Kings in this one, Chris. And, like, I never really want to look towards the Wizards, but I can't say the spot actually sets up well for them here, man. It's just one of those teams that you never know what you're going to get from the Wizards, but I do know that the Kings are traveling from Sacramento all the way to the East Coast, and then you got a back-to-back spot as well. And it's not like they had multiple days to get ready for this spot. They had an overtime game versus the Grizzlies, then went to Toronto. You see them kind of come out sluggish in that one, then they ended up just blow out the Raptors. Obviously, I mean, the Raptors are another bad team, but this is on even a back-to-back in this one, Chris. Do you think there's any little type of way that we could possibly back the Wizards here, or is it just Kings or nothing here?
It's Kings or nothing still, Jay. Even with all you said, man, I'm not going near this Wizard team with a 10-foot pole, Jay. One thing I looked at in this game was, and I do got to play, but one thing I looked at, Jay, because I thought that was an interesting spot, right? You don't see road favorites laying double digits unrested, Jay. That's weird, right? Mm-hmm. You're like on the second leg of a back-to-back, you're laying 10 points on the road. I looked at the database, Jay, 68-6. Straight up, 49-24-1. That's 67.1% are those road favorites unrested laying double digits if you look at it after the All-Star break. So, much more meaningful basketball. So that says that, take the Kings in this spot. Did I do it? No, I didn't. But what I did do, Jay, was I took the under, specifically that Wizards team total under, and for a couple of different reasons. First of all, for some reason, the Kings defense plays better on the second leg of a back-to-back than they do on the first. Don't ask me why. It don't really make a lot of sense. And for the Wizards, they get Kuzma back. He's off the injury report, but you don't got Tyus Jones. That's a big, big piece, Jay. They played 3 games, and Diddy Avdija is listed as questionable. Landry Shim is out. Rashawn Holmes also listed as questionable. But for the Washington side, without Tyus Jones, he's missed 3 games so far this season. They got a 29-point loss to the Bulls, a 26-point loss to the Celtics, and a 23-point loss to the Rockets. They're averaging 105 points, Jay. That team total was 113.5. Yeah. I just think that Sacramento, this could be a spot where they run out of gas. And granted, none of their players, I think Keegan Murray played 30 minutes. Everybody else played under 30 minutes last night. I looked at that too. But I don't think the Kings are necessarily going to need to score that many points because the Wizards not going to score that many points. When you think about what the Wizards like to do from an X's and O's perspective, Jay, they like to get downhill and put a lot of pressure on the rim. I got them at their 8th in frequency at the rim, 11th in accuracy over the last 2 weeks. Sacramento does a really good job. They're 4th in rim frequency for their opponents, and teams only shooting 11 best percentage over the last 2 weeks. So that's not an advantage for them. You won't be able to really score in the paint. Sacramento, you got to be able to shoot the ball from the outside.
Facts.
Very similar to Toronto. The other thing the Washington Wizards like to do to score, Jay, is they like to get out and run in transition. They're 7th in transition frequency. Sacramento 6th in allowing opponents points. They do a really good job. They did the same thing against Toronto last night, which is why I took Toronto team total under as well. So I played the under. Wizards, Sacramento 19-13-2 to the under on the season, 4-1 to the under when they're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. And I think it's also those unrested double-digit road favorites this season, Jay, 5 times. All 5 have gone to the under, 5-0 to the under. So I like this spot. Since 2019, 14-7 to the under, 66%. Sacramento also the 4th rated defense last 2 weeks, number 6 in opponent effective field goal percentage. So I don't think the Washington Wizards is going to be able to score with no Tyus Jones, and the way that Sacramento can limit them on the offensive in transition, and their bread and butter, which is scoring in the paint. So give me a Wizards team total under 113.5 here.
I like that. That's a good ass look there, to be honest with you, because I mean, Wizards scoring over 110. I'm not trusting that shit. I'd like to know how the Kings have done, which I know that they're only 4-7 against the spread without off of a coming with no rest. I wonder how the Kings are when laying double digits in this spot. I feel like this is a spot where the Kings don't really do well when they're laying double digits. There were spots, I know some of them were like when they were coming back to the house, but they had spots like first the Spurs with no Wemby in this type of spot. They were laying double digits. I just feel like these are the type of games where the Kings like damn near. There's been some spots where they've lost this game outright in this particular game. How are the Kings like laying double digits or on back to back? Chris, could you
They are, so laying double digits in general, they are 6-2 straight up, but only 3-5 against the spread. So you got a point. But when you start looking at them on the road, we know the King. I don't know why, Jay. For whatever reason, the Kings play better on the road, right?
That's the fact.
On the road, when they're laying double digits, they're 2-0 straight up and against the spread. One time was last night, and then when they smoked the Pistons earlier this season, two very comparable teams to this Wizards team. Pistons, they beat them 131-120 back on the 9th of January. And then, of course, last night against the Raptors. And then if you look at them, let me just look at them real quick, Jay, when they're unrested.
I think the spots that I have been talking about were at the house. It's crazy as hell, but at the house, that's when they would mess around and lose. I think they lost outright to teams like the Hornets and shit. I don't think that was a back-to-back, but it was the first game coming back home off a road trip, and they were laying double digits, and I think they lost versus the Hornets outright, and I think they were this is just laying double digits. I know that they almost lost to the Spurs as well.
Yep. So 2-0, Jay. So I'm sorry, 1-1 straight up, 1-1 against the spread when they're unrested as a road favorite this season. They lost. They got smoked by the Pelicans. I think he was on the Pelicans in that game. That was back in November. I think I remember hearing you say that they got smoked in that game. But they beat the Hornets in this spot by 25, 123-98 back on January the 10th. So on the road, for whatever reason, like I said, they play much better basketball, which is why I like that Wizards team total under. But I'm not getting involved in the spread in this game at all, Jay.
That's a fact.
All these points, I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. Yeah, it's a spot that, I mean, the Kings gonna show us in this one, man. I know that Monk didn't get there last night with his points, but I'd still lean his way again. I didn't even look at to see what his number was, but I would lean towards Malik Monk, especially with him only playing 19 minutes last night. He's probably gonna play a few more minutes in this game, and then look at Rashawn Holmes as well. If he does play, remember he was a guy that's for the Kings. That's when he played his best basketball. For one, they didn't let him play, and then I know he hadn't really been that good of a player since then, like for the Mavs or for the Wizards, but like that's like extra motivation when you're going up against a team that like legitimately would not let you play. That's before any injuries or anything like that. Like those were the best years of Rashawn Holmes. That's why any other team would want him, because they saw him be able to play at least a little bit for the Kings there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rashawn Holmes, if he did play in this game, if he went over his PRA, you don't just want points, you want the rebounds and shit like that with it. But obviously he will have some added motivation. He will be one of the only centers as well. So whether you just want to look at this rebounds or like points and rebounds, I do think that Rashawn Holmes will have a little bit extra motivation in this game. He's not the best of a player, but going up against his old team, they like the teams know when you're going up against your old team, it's like you probably chatter about it in the locker room, like, look, I want to get these motherfuckers 20 points tonight. See what I'm saying? So they're saying Malik Monk 17.5 tonight. Yeah, he only played 20 minutes, which is really kind of fishy because he usually always plays 25, 30. Malik Monk, he plays starters minutes. He's coming off the bench, but he plays starters minutes there. So I'd lean both of those ways, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards came out with something in the first half, to be perfectly honest with you. Sounds crazy as hell, but I wouldn't want to mess with them full game, but I would lean to their way in the first half in this one. But Malik Monk's points and then Rashawn Holmes, whether it's points and rebounds or just his rebounds, I do think he'll have extra motivation in this game, Chris. Let's head over here to the streets of Houston in this one. H-Town Rockets laying 4 points at the house versus the Bulls. This line was at 2.5, then 3. Now it's up to 4 this morning, Chris. Jalen Green, the boys have been absolutely balling. They just played the Wizards as well, struggled for a little bit as well, and then end up smacking them up. Jalen Green's been going absolutely crazy. What do you think? Rockets starting to creep in on the Warriors there for their 10th, for their last play-in spot. They've won 7 straight, covered 7 straight. What do you think? Do the Rockets keep it going here tonight versus the Bulls?
I think they can, Jay. I didn't play the game just because of the, it's a rest factor there, but they are in a revenge spot too, Jay. I looked at the Rockets 8-2 straight up, 6-3-1 against the spread when they're revenging losses at home specifically. We know the right before the All-Star break, Jay, it was real easy to figure out the Rockets. You take them at home and you fade them on the road, right?
All year, really.
All year, right? But after the All-Star break, Jay, they've been actually good on the road. And granted, they're back home now. Hottest team in the league, like you said, 8-2 straight up. 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. You get a Bulls team that's coming in here. I think the injury report is important because you got Caruso and Kobe White listed as questionable. I did see that Kobe White went through a full practice yesterday. So 2 days rest, first road game after 3 straight home games. They did get back-to-back wins on the Houston side, still without Sengun and without Cam Whitmore, which has actually been good for them, Jay. They've been out like able to get out and run in transition, the offense going, like you said, a little bit more through Jalen Green. He's been cooking. He could have his hands full today, though, with Caruso. Caruso being one of the best defenders in the league.
Thanks.
That kind of talked me off of this game. I do like the head-to-head revenge, though, Jay. Even though Chicago beat this team 124-119 on January 10th, Chicago was laying 4. That game went over the total, and that's the way I wanted to look at this one, Jay. I think, matchup-wise, it's a lot of great matchups for Houston. The major one is the rim. The Bulls haven't been able to really protect the rim, and Houston been really getting to the rim. 11th most shots at the rim, third highest accuracy. Chicago been struggling. They're actually allowing the second highest rim rate over the last 2 weeks. Also, mid-range. Houston getting to the mid-range. They're attempting the 8th most mid-range shot, converting at the 8th highest percentage. Chicago defense bottom 15 in that category. Then the last thing, Jay, is the above the break 3. This is something that Houston has really been shooting a ton of. They're attempting the 13th most shots, just right above, like walking into the 3 and shooting about 40% there. And you got a Chicago team on the opposite side that's bottom 5 in that category too. So I think they got some major matchup advantages without Sengun. Houston's been running a lot faster, Jay. They are 10th in fast break frequency over the past 2 weeks, really pushing the pace. And Chicago not really stopping that. Teams are pushing the pace and attacking them in transition at the second highest rate. They're bottom 10 in points and opponent points allowed per play and per possession. So to me, everything in this game lines up for a Houston team total over, Jay. We know if you've been following the Bulls, they always find a way. It don't matter if they get down 20, if they go up 20, they find a way, Jay, to be in a clutch game.
Close game.
With DeMar DeRozan always going to be there. So I like the over a little bit more. I like the total did go up. It opened at 213 all the way up to 219. And I probably should have pulled the trigger. Chicago, I looked at this, Jay, specifically them though. I wanted to isolate the Rockets specifically team total. Chicago's given up the 110.5 points in 7 of their last 9 games. Houston, their team total 110.5. They've actually scored 111 points in 8 of the last 9 games in this month of March, Jay. So maybe the market hasn't quite adjusted as much. I like to think about the Bulls as a fake defensive team. They don't really play defense for real, but they get the stops when they need to. But throughout the entirety of the game, their games go over, which is why we see this total go up. Chicago, the last 4 matchups have gone over. Houston 3-0 to the over in their last 3 as well. I think it's an over spot, Jay, for Houston team total 110.5 is the number that I had earlier. I kind of like stopped looking at it for a second and it started to move just a tad bit. So I didn't play it, but I think that's the look here. I would take Houston team total over, staying away from the spread because the Bulls, they do well as a road dog and they have the rest advantage here, Jay.
Facts. Yeah, it's a good cap there because, like you say, I mean, obviously some sharp money's been coming in on the over if it opened up at 213, especially with all the unders hitting as well. So they're looking at the same thing that you're looking at. Obviously, the Rockets, I mean, we know that Sengun was their best rebounder and one of their top point scorers as well, but they will get up and down the floor a little faster without him. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy as hell to see them like a player like that go down, and the Rockets have gotten even better, man. That is pretty crazy, man. But yeah, they've been smacking everybody. They've actually won 6 straight. It's not 7 straight. So that was a typo by me, but they've won 6 straight games. Been absolutely balling, man. However, whoever's been put in front of them, man, you know what I'm saying? They just been absolutely balling. I can't bet against the Rockets right now. The Bulls have not really shown a ton of consistency as well. Like you said, they did beat them earlier this year, but obviously that was at the house, and they had to and the Rockets took them to overtime as well, and that's when they were playing like trash on the road here. So you definitely need Caruso out there. I believe he went through like a partial practice. It looks like they will get Kobe White back though, with him going through a full practice yesterday. So we'll see how Kobe White, because I do feel like this is the type of player that the Bulls do need. He's one of their most important players. Obviously, DeRozan's going to do what he's going to do. Vucevic is going to do what he's going to do. They need Kobe White, who's been one of the most, he's like second for most improved player. And if he balled out a little bit more last year, he'd probably get it. But like Maxi's not losing that award. But it's Rockets or nothing for me here. It's just I feel it's a funny type of game for me. I can only look towards Rockets, and that's a really good cap there with the over as well. Maybe just look at Rockets team total over. It's up to 111.5. But if the game goes over, then that means that the Rockets are definitely going over their team total over as well. And you make some good points there with like with the threes on the fast break, with the Bulls not being able to defend the paint. That's the main place where Jalen Green has been living, inside the paint. And Vucevic is not stopping anybody down low. I'm telling you that right now. And my guy, what you say, Chris? He might not be able to jump over a loose leaf sheet.
A loose leaf sheet of paper, baby. Him and Jokic.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact there, man. So I'd lean towards Rockets. The Rockets team total over, and maybe even just full game over as well, because maybe if the Bulls do get Kobe White back here, they could possibly have some success here as well. Getting into the paint as well, man. Great game to watch. Great game to live bet as well. I know the Rockets came out slow versus the Wizards, and then they just blew it open versus the Avs, my guys. So definitely some good looks in that game. So over to the streets of Milwaukee in this one. Bucks laying 9.5 points at the house versus the Nets. Nets are a train wreck right now, Chris. I can't go anywhere near them. Their body language is bad. Even if they come out with something early for a game, before you know it, they get smoked. Obviously, the Bucks are for back-to-back here. They should have got blown out last night. Before you know it, it's a close game and going down to the wire. So it does kind of switch things up a little bit for me, because I expected them to get down by 20, and I do think the Celtics could have won that game by 20 or 30. They literally just kind of stopped playing or whatever. But Bucks were supposed to get smacked up by 20, rest their guys, and then the exact opposite happened. They end up losing, but still having to play their guys some minutes. I do expect Giannis to come back in this game, though, Chris. I think that they were, especially with this being an NBA TV game, I think he stayed home just to rest up a little bit more. My guy went to the movies with his girl and shit, went to go see, I think the movie's like Dunes 2 or something like that. Instead of flying with his team, he went to the movies, man. I got pictures. You see what I'm saying? I got sources over there. It's like, man, Giannis didn't even make the flight with the team, bro. And they still fucking covered the spread. But I think that the Bucks can do whatever they want here with the Nets. Claxton didn't go through shooting around. They don't have Dorian Finney-Smith. Those are literally their power forward at center right there. Like you'd have to be going to Day'Ron Sharp. And then after that, you don't have any size. If Giannis plays here, he go for 30, 35, 40. Bobby Portis could have a huge game. Brook Lopez, old, slow ass, could have a big game here. So, but we also know that Middleton's going to sit as well. So that's what I expect to happen. Middleton sit on this back-to-back. As long as you got Dame and Giannis in this one, I still think the Bucks should be able to win this game by double digits. Hopefully they don't put an okie doke like they did last night. Chris, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, a lot of your thoughts, Jay, are mine. The first thing that jumped out was I really wanted, like you said, that you don't want. You talk about this a lot, Jay. You don't want to bet on the team on the second leg of a back-to-back that feel like they had to give two efforts the night before, right?
Thanks.
Like if you gonna get blown out by Boston, get blown out by Boston the rest of your players, especially if I want to bet on you the next night, right? So that's one element of it. And Brooklyn having the rest advantage don't really mean nothing to me, because Brooklyn also, even though they got 1 day's rest, it's still a fourth game in 6 nights for them as well. And it's still a brutal travel spot, Jay. Remember, they had went out on that 6-game road trip, came home for one game, got smoked by the Pelicans, and now they back on the road again, like for another long road trip that's at least 4 games. So that doesn't bode well. I mean, this team hasn't covered a spread or won a game in their last 4, 3-7 straight up. I think you wait, Jay. I do, because I think if Giannis gets ruled in, the numbers are going to move in general, of course. If Chris Middleton gets ruled out, which we both expect, the numbers going to move again as well. I kind of think, Jay, it's a team total over spot, especially when you talk about Nicholas Claxton. Stay away from the spread. Like Nick, they can score whatever it is that they want. These were the numbers, Jay, with Nicholas Claxton on the floor. The Brooklyn Nets rim frequency, teams are getting to the rim at the most times out of anybody, and they're shooting they're giving up the third highest percentage. Teams making 70%, 72.6% of the shots at the rim specifically. The Bucks should be able to live at the rim. Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, Giannis getting downhill. Brooklyn also really, really bad at defending the fast break. So, the Bucks should be able to score. I got the Brooklyn Nets, Jay, at bottom 5 in points scored, and they allow teams to run the fast break at the second highest rate over the last 2 weeks. So I think it's a team total over spot. It's not a game that I played. What is that team total, Jay? What is it? 222?
115. 115 and a half. There's a few 115s out there, but it's like basically like 115 and a half.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Down. If they rule out Middleton first, and then you know how they do it, Giannis game time. They're gonna make you wait all day. All the way until 5 minutes for the game. Expect to play. Oh no, he ain't playing no more. You see what I'm saying? That
They
was
questionable. They gave to our decision.
I expect Middleton to be ruled out like on the first injury report. Like we know I don't think he goes to game time, but they're gonna play with us with Giannis. So the total might even go down and give you a chance to get a little
Then you
bit
wait.
better number with the Bucks team total. But it makes perfect sense because if they're even gonna sniff a cover here, that means they're gonna probably put up 115, 120 points. And like you said, I mean the Nets without any rim protection, they're already kind of just giving up on the season as well. Bucks team total over should definitely be the look here. And I couldn't talk anybody off of them first half as well.
Yeah, that's the only way I would look, Jay. And I think it makes more sense as well. Last thing I'll mention, I think it makes more sense that the Bucks don't play as much defense in this game. One thing I figured out about the Nets, Jay, is if it's a team that we want to call insane because insanity is repeating the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. It's the Bucks. All they want to do is shoot above the break threes and corner threes, and they can't make none of them. So they're not going to be able to score. Like you said, even if they come out hot, it'll cool down. Bucks 3-point defense isn't that bad. So that's the way I would play it too, Jay. Just team total over. But like you said, wait on this one to get the injury status because you could potentially get a better number.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I definitely need Giannis in there. So it's one of them that where the total might not do a whole lot, but the spread will. But as far as for the team total, I definitely need Giannis in there. I don't want to be messing around with the Bucks with Giannis and Middleton now, even though the Nets are ass and I feel like they're kind of sort of giving up on the season because they're probably not getting that 10th play-in spot. You see what I'm saying? So the Nets, their body language is bad. Other than Cam Thomas, Cam Thomas has been cooking. So if you like the Nets, you maybe look towards his points. I believe they're they still been putting it at 21 and a half. Outside of that, nobody I can trust over there. I mean, Mikal Bridges been up and down shooter. Like that's their best three scorers. And when you got Dennis Schroeder as your third option, like what are we really doing here? You see what I'm saying? So Cam Thomas, he never seen a shot he ain't like, man. So my guy, you could never go wrong with looking at. I bet his assist like 1.5 or something because my guy just never. He never even looked to passing the ball, man. But looking at his points, he is an absolute bucket, and he's going to look to score or get fouled every single time. So that's the only thing on the Nets that I would suggest Cam Thomas over his points. But other than that, I'd be looking at like the Bucks could really come out here and cash a trifecta spot. Only thing that's not good is that they had to go down to the wire and had to travel back from Boston. But I'm fully expecting Giannis to be back in this one. They could get whatever they want in the rim in this one. Giannis should go bonkers in this game, man. Let's go over to the streets of Dallas in this one. Mavs land a big number versus the Jazz. Jazz are another one of those teams where they kind of just going through the motions for the rest of the season. Surprised they even played OKC that tough last night. They had a 4-point lead over OKC at one point. Then OKC like, all right, hold on. We can't lose this game. Let's stop playing. Before you know it, they had got up 20, and then OKC is done what they've been doing. I've been noticing something, Chris. The Thunder have not been covering spreads lately, and it's like they've been doing this on purpose. Like they kind of just like they letting players shoot at the end of the game. All that, just whatever it is, they making sure they don't cover their spread. I just want to let people like you just gotta notice the patterns. But Jazz in a horrible spot here, Chris. Back-to-back third game in 4 nights, 4th and 6, 5th and 7, and on the roll back-to-back as well. And the Mavs got revenge from a 127-90 point loss earlier this year when they were in Utah, when the Jazz were actually balling out at the house. I think the Mavs could do whatever the hell they want here. Chris, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, we're lying here as well, Jay. I didn't play the game. It's a super big number, of course. It's also one of those first little back-to-back head-to-head series as well, Jay. They play in Utah, but that game ain't until Monday. We don't know the status of Lauri Markkanen. We don't know about Clarkson. So, they got to submit an injury report and it's super late. Definitely, want to wait on that news if you are interested in playing this game. But it wasn't anything that interests me, Jay. I don't know how serious Dallas is going to take this game. We saw Dallas just go up the street to San Antonio and, not take that game super serious. Almost lost that game to them boys as well. I think it's a super flat spot for him here, Jay. Maybe a Mavs team total over. Jazz already don't play too much defense on the second leg of a back-to-back with travel, 5th game in 7 nights, like you said. Probably a super flat spot. I'm not sure how much this game is going to mean to Dallas just because of the spot that the Jazz are in. And they know that I was looking into this, Jay. The Jazz actually don't have one starter in their starting lineup that started the season. Like none. Keontae George ain't started at the beginning of the season. So it's like as a competitor, like if I'm seeing that you're trotting out this lineup, like, am I gonna go super hard? We've heard players like Draymond say like the hardest games to get up for is like when you got to be in Detroit, like playing against Cade Cunningham and whoever else they're gonna try out there. So yeah, this is not a motivational spot, Jay, where I'm about to lay two touchdowns.
Draymond can't say that no more after they losing to fucking Spurs and shit
Oh,
without
that's a fact.
Wemby and
That's a
losing to the
fact.
Bulls and shit and losing to I mean, I know the Knicks are a great team, but still, like you losing in must-win spots, and then you talk about getting up versus teams, and now your ass the 10th seed in the play-in. Fuck
That's a fact.
Draymond, man. I
That's
don't
a,
want to hear
that's a
nothing about
fact.
that motherfucker.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But yeah, I don't, from this 2 touchdowns, it's a big number, man. Maybe just a Dallas team total over. We know that they can get whatever it is that they want. They like to get out and run in transition as well. Utah gives up a ton of points in the fast break. Even though they did do a good job of limiting OKC last night, you got to think though, Jay, just the 5th game in 7 nights with travel. And granted, it's a short travel from OKC to Dallas, right?
Yep.
But still, like, this is not a great spot. But Marketing could come back. Clarkson could come back.
Yep.
Who knows? They're going to manipulate that injury report as well. So
That's a fact.
Best of luck if you guys are playing this one. Not something that I'm on at all.
And that's one that you definitely want to wait if you're laying these points. I would suggest laying the points with the Mavs here if Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson are still out. They possibly could have rested them, get them ready for tonight's game, but they did give a ton of their energy. Like as far as everybody else on the team, they did give a ton of energy trying to stay close with the Thunder last night as well. And the Thunder been low-key kind of playing a little physical game as well. So even if they get Markkanen or somebody, I mean, like Luka, Kyrie, they could do whatever the hell they want here. The lobs for Lively. Even if Markkanen comes back, the lobs for Lively and Gafford going to be there all night. I mean, you might have people like Dante Exum going crazy this game, Tim Hardaway Jr. going crazy in this game. So it's just one of those where the Jazz could possibly be competitive. Like if like this, if Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson play, you can get a better number in game. The Jazz will probably come out, throw the whole book at them in the first half, and then the Mavs, like when you're playing against a bad team, Chris, and then like they punch you in the mouth, it's like, all right, come on, let's play. And then before you know it, you smacking their ass about 20 points. You see what I'm saying? So it could be one where you get a better line with the Mavs here, but no real look ahead spot. They play in Utah the next game, so they have to win every single game that they have in front of them. You just maybe got to see the refs on this one, man, because lately, I don't know about y'all, but I've been noticing there's been like a lot of fishy stuff going on with these games, especially the favorites as well, my guys. So, but I'd still lean towards the Mavs in this one, especially with the revenge as well, especially with no real look ahead. They're at the house. They're playing good basketball right now. They played a bad game in their last game out as well versus the Spurs. They know the Jazz smoked their ass by 37. And they, even though Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell over there anymore, Luka still loves to see those Jazz jerseys. He loves to see that Jazz on the front of the jersey, goes crazy. So I couldn't talk you off that Luka triple-double. We know he's out there. In these type of games, Luka's out there to stat pad. Like he might have 15, 8, and 7 by halftime. So I would look towards Luka's halftime props. Look towards like if you want to take a triple-double, take him to like get 5+ assists or 5+ rebounds by halftime. I think it would be a really good look here. But he's definitely live for a triple-double. These are the type of games that he goes out and he knows that he can stat pad. I think he will. I was thinking about that last night that he might go get a triple-double as well, my guys. So that's not a bad look there whatsoever. But yeah, we still don't know if they're playing Markkanen or Jordan Clarkson in this one, but still Mavs are nothing for me, and it could be another where it's a team total over spot. But yeah, I'm not gonna talk you off that Luka triple-double, or if you want, you could just take like the rebounds, whichever one is like at 9.5 assists or rebounds, you could just take that to be safe. But I do think he's live for a triple-double tonight. A couple more games here, Chris. Let's go over to the streets of Denver in this one. Nuggets laying 9.5 at the house versus the Knicks. What you got on this one?
Man, not much, dude. This was a game where the spot. It's a spot like OG Anunoby is listed as questionable, right, Jay? I don't think he's gonna play.
He's out.
He hasn't been ruled. He has been ruled out.
He's out. Yeah, he's out for sure. If I'm not mistaken, I've seen some shit where motherfuckers be out and then they question when they playing. But I'm pretty sure that OG Anunoby's been officially ruled out for his game.
Okay. So with no OG, that changed the cap. You got a Knicks team with 2 days rest, last game over 4-game road trip. They are 4-0, Jay, straight up 3-0-1 against the spread in their last 4. And this number just keeps getting bigger. I think the reason why it's getting bigger, Jay, and also the other thing I wanted to mention, Knicks also 4-0 straight up and against the spread as road dogs since the All-Star break. So this team has been, but the line is moving against them, Jay. And Denver the line just keeps getting bigger. First game back home, 1 day's rest off a 4-game road trip. They got smoked, Jay. I know I said this when I looked into this one, I said, I remember Jay was on the Knicks in that last game in New York. They beat the brakes off of him, 122 to 84. You didn't even have to watch the whole second half. So maybe that's it, Jay. Maybe that's it. Maybe the no OG catches up with them. The Knicks have been gritty, man. Best defensive team in the league, over the last 5-10 games. That's something that they, been kind of hanging their hat on, but they could really run out of gas in this spot, Jay. I didn't play it. I think the number's too big. We know Denver typically doesn't cover big numbers. at home specifically. They are just 3-3 against the spread as a home favorite after the All-Star break, winning those games by about 10 points per game. But it wasn't something I felt comfortable with laying this big number with them coming back home, Jay. So I didn't play this one, but I could see them really, like really limiting Brunson. And this is not the same Knicks team that beat Denver, not at all. They've been playing well, but not the same Knicks team. That Knicks team had, I think Julius Randle hadn't even got hurt yet, and they had OG in that game, Jay. So I stayed off of this one, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What you think?
I don't really know what to do with this game. I can't get the Nuggets right, bro. I bet on them. They screwed me off. I bet against them, and they play like the reigning champs. So I'm off their games. I should just bet on them so that they can lose outright because I need OKC to get the number 1 seed. So I'd love to see the Nuggets lose this game outright. The Knicks have beaten them 3 straight times. They obviously beat the brakes off of them earlier this year. Nuggets back at the house. I don't really like this point spread because the Knicks have been really scrappy as well. But if they also lost the game by double digits, I wouldn't be surprised. So it's literally one of those games where I wouldn't be surprised what happened. Nuggets have been playing slow. The Knicks have been playing good defense as well. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though it's a low number, if it went under. But it's just not a game that I really have a ton of confidence in. This was an easy skip for me, but I might just bet the Nuggets just so that they can lose this game. That's what I'm gonna do. Like probably for the rest of the season, if I want them to lose, I'm gonna bet on them because I know that they're gonna go out there and bullshit, my guys. Last game up, let's go over to the streets of Phoenix in this one. Suns land 9 at the house versus the Hawks in this one. Chris, another game that I don't have much on. I don't really like the Suns in this point spread race. They got it done last night, but now they're on the back-to-back going up against the Hawks team, who I don't want to take them either. I think DeJounte Murray has a good. He's been balling. He's been like the do-it-all guy for the Hawks. But it's another game as far as the point spread. I'm just staying off of maybe Suns team total once again, but it's just not a game that like I'm running to the window with.
Yeah, nah, same Jay, same thing. I'm not laying points with you. I was Phoenix first half, Jay. I thought the bounce back spot was yesterday. I called it out. I said it on my show. I didn't even play it. They smoked the Philadelphia 76ers in the first half. So I left the money on the table yesterday. I'm not chasing it today. I'm good. I'm not backing Phoenix because of the second leg of the back-to-back, Jay. But I can't back Atlanta because no Jalen Johnson. He's big.
Exactly.
Of course, no Trae Young. You still don't got Okongwu. We know Clint Capella is a shell of himself.
Okongwu came back last game.
Did he come back? He played
came
against
back
the Lakers?
last game. Yep, he did.
Okay,
bro.
so that's big for them. I did miss that, Jay. No Jalen Johnson though. 5-12 straight up, Jay. 3-14 against the spread without Jalen Johnson this game. That was something I did look into on the road specifically. 4-8 straight up, 3-9 against the spread. In games without him as well. It's a stay away game for me too, Jay. It was not anything compelling enough for me to feel like, you know what, this is a spot that I absolutely love and I absolutely want to play this game. So a big spread. I feel like I can see both kind of happening. Play a prop game maybe, but I would need to dive into it a little bit more. And no play on the total either, Jay. I did want to look a little bit more into the total. Suns have been going under on the second leg of a back-to-back for whatever reason. They playing a little bit better defense, but it wasn't anything that I felt compelled to play at all. So not going to waste the people's time here.
Yeah, me neither. Hawks have beaten the Suns 4 straight times, covered 4 straight, and they beat them earlier this year, February 2nd, in Atlanta. I believe the Suns were on a back-to-back in that game as well. The Hawks beat them 129-120. So, in theory, is a revenge spot for the Suns. They can get to cooking. They are only 3-7 against the spread last 10, so they don't really give you a ton of confidence with laying 9, especially with the Hawks having guys like DeJounte Murray and the Suns. Like, they can play. They've been better defensively, but DeJounte Murray could really kind of cook their ass up in this one. Okongwu, guys like Bogdanovich as well. So they're gonna miss Jalen Johnson here, but they still have 3 guys that could possibly give the Suns some matchups problems in this game, my guys. And the Suns hadn't covered back-to-back games in their last 10 games. Hawks, this is the last game of a 5th-game road trip. They've played 9 of their last. This will be their 9th road game in their last 11 games. So they've been on the West Coast for a while, probably ready to get back to the house. So Suns are nothing, but definitely stand off this one, Chris. Recap us with your locks, man. I'm riding with my guy Chris today, man. What you like today, Chris?
Yeah, so we taking that Wizards team total under 113.5. No Tyus Jones 3 games. They only scored 105 points in those 3 games. Sacramento 4th-rated defense over the last 2 weeks. For whatever reason, they play better on the second leg of a back-to-back. And I roll with the Pellies. Fly, Pellies, fly. They flying today, Jay. I took the Pellies on the money line, like I said, minus 120 when I gave it out last night. But I think it's tiers to it, like you said, Jay. Those are the 2 plays that I locked in. Really, really close. I think honorable mention, and I could potentially still get there. Maybe I'll wait on the Caruso and Kobe White news. But if Kobe White gets ruled in, I like
Yeah,
the Houston Rockets team total over a little bit more because they're going to be forced to score more because Kobe White's
facts.
going to push the pace and, be able to contribute as well. So those are the two plays that I locked in, but, it was pretty close, Jay. Still could potentially get there with the Houston Rockets team total over 111.5.
Yeah, some good looks, man. My top play would be, I can't believe Isaiah Thomas out there playing. I know it's good that he getting a 10-day contract, but like if I'm betting on the Suns, I'm being keep straight up with you. I ain't trying to see that. I'm just being perfectly honest with you. It's like Patty Mills out there for the Heat or Evan Fournier for the Pistons. I'm not trying to see that shit, man.
Not Fournier for sure.
Yeah, nah,
Maybe Patty
I'm
Mills
not
a little
trying to
bit
see
more,
that.
but either one,
Yeah.
I'm with you, Jay.
But yeah, my top play, I would probably say Bucks team total over, but I would wait to see what's up with Giannis, and it could go down as well because we fully expected Middle to be out for back-to-back. But something tells me that Giannis comes back in this game, and I think Bobby Portis will have a great game as well. But they can get whatever the hell they want in the paint versus the Brooklyn Nets team, who's really just kind of going through the motions. So I lean towards Bucks first half and full game, but mainly their team total over, just kind of waiting for Giannis. Now, if Mavs are still in a good spot, third game in 4 nights, fourth and 6, fifth game in 7 nights for the Jazz as well. Wouldn't talk you off Luka triple-double. There's some really good looks on the card today. Rashawn Holmes going up against his old squad as well, and still Malik Monk. If he can get 25, 30 minutes, I do think he'll have a lot better game in this one today, man. But ugly card. I'm finna go watch some college basketball, man. That's why a lot of people, like usually we have like 800 people watching the show live, Chris. Today, they're like, man, I'm looking at some college basketball. I don't blame them. I'm finna get out here finna chop the show up. I'm finna go watch some college basketball, eat some food, man, chill out today as well, man. So everybody have a great day. I hope whatever you guys are betting, whether it's the tournament, go check out the Action Network app. There's plenty of shit going on over there for NIT, whether you bet in CBI, women's college basketball tournament, especially the big dance as well. Plenty of content, podcasts, free picks over there as well. Go download the Action Network app, man. Whatever you guys are betting today, best of luck. I hope you guys smack the fucking bookies up one time for the one time. They got the money that they can spread out to us, man. It's all love. Y'all have a good day. We out, my guys. Go follow Chris as well on Twitter at Chris B. Capping. Let's go, baby. We out.